every one of you. We are glad that God has provided for us another opportunity to be able to come together and to see if we can navigate His Word that will enable us to live, that will enable us to grow, that will enable us to not just survive, but to thrive, that will enable us to show forth the praise of Him who has called us out of darkness into His marvelous light. And for that, we bless His name. Even in the midst of struggling to find something to bless Him about, we still bless His name. And the last time I checked, He is so worthy of all of our praise. He is so worthy of all of the glory. And even in the midst of tears and heartache and pain and all of the other things that comes along with that, we yet still magnify Him because there's none like Him. I see the pages are coming up at this time, and so we're going to do our a little bit that we do to make sure that we get everybody up here up and running, and so that all will be well for tonight's presentation. And we are just overwhelmingly excited about what we believe God will do. And I see it even right now that it looks like it may be freezing on my page at least. But you know what? We're going to press on. We're going to see what we can do. I'm going to take this one page out, and then I'm just going to leave these two in, and then I'm going to go from there. How's that? Okay. So with that being said, I have that, and then I will bring this other page up over here, because I see clearly now that there is an issue that has to be dealt with and looked at, and the problem is coming from Union's Facebook page. So if y'all give me just a second here, I'm going to rearrange a couple of things so that I can see things just a little bit better, and then we will go from there. Okay, I see you, Linda. Thank you for being with us. Jaleesa, Minister Sarah, Barbara, Doe, Cecile, good evening to you. Billy, good to have you with us on today, and good to have each and every one of you. And I'm trying to bring this thing up here. There we go. Live on YouTube. Lavernon, how are you this evening? Pastor Mansell, good to have you with us on this evening. Ethel, I see you. Let me take a look here and see what's going on my page and OBSC's page. Kathy, how are you this evening? My perspective is totally different now because I eliminated one page because I saw where, okay, excuse me just a second. All of my notes just flew straight off there. So give me a second because I'm having a moment here, and I don't know why this is cutting up like it is, but I will have it straightened out in just a moment. There we go. Stephanie, I see you. Barb, I see you. Thank you so much. Elder Bowdry, Pastor Jordan, Ayana, thank you so much for being with us. Minister Marcia, thank you. Bless the Lord. Elder Treese, how are you, sir? Cynthia Thomas, Deaconess Thomas, good to see you. Good to have you here with us. Pee-wee, bless the Lord. Chaplain Hearns, thank you. I'm going to do the best I can. Bobby McKenzie, thank you. Larry, I see you. Larry McHellion, I see you as you are coming on. Glad to have you with Gina Allen. Thank you so much for being with us on today. I see, okay, Thea, Sylvia Scott, Ida, thank y'all so much for being a part of our learning experience on today. And so I'm waiting to see if this chat will roll appropriately and all that other kind of good stuff, okay? And we can go from there. And again, for those of you, for the 6 of you that are on YouTube, thank you so much. For those of you who are on Union's page, that are on my page or OBSC's page, or if you are on the website, thank you so much, so much, so much for being with us on tonight. And it gives us great joy to know that you are here with us. And so again, we are just excited for each and every one of you to be a part of our learning. Please share, please share. Please be so kind to share. That would be fantastic if you would do so. And then we can go from there. Okay, okay. Minister Faye, stop. So I'm grateful to God. Please share, please share, please share, please share, please share, please be so kind to share. And that will help us out tremendously. Good evening, Veronica. I see you. How are you this evening? Praying that all is well with you and yours, and everything is just going the way it should be. And I got one more thing I need to check because I don't see this page doing what it's supposed to do. And we're going to try this again to see if we can make it work. All right, here we go. For whatever reason, I'm having trouble with seeing the people who are on my page. Thank you, Doe, for sharing. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us on today as we get ready to begin on tonight. Cora, I see you as you came on. Thank you so much for being a part of our audience on tonight. Well, let me go ahead and get started. And then we can go ahead and move from there. How do I want to say this? How do we navigate the need for comfort? How do we navigate the need for solace? How do we navigate the need for God to perform a miraculously powerful work in our lives when we and while we are hurting? The one thing that I shared with you, Minister Michael, how are you, sir? The one thing that I shared with you in our last encounter was the fact that nothing ever comes your way that has not first went through the hands of God. Now that right there is an overwhelmingly powerful statement because Ella Mae, dear, I see you as you have come on board. The thing that really mesmerizes us more than anything is the fact that many times in life, I'm trying to paint the picture. I'm trying to paint the picture. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get us to see something that we may not have seen before. Denise, I see you as you come on board. How do I trust God when I can't sense Him, when I can't define Him, when I can't. Elder Trees, are you catching what I'm saying? I'm trying to say this in such a way. Rhonda, thank you so much for being with us on tonight. I'm trying to get this. Sarah, good, thank you so much for being here. Because there are those times in our lives when God can appear to be absent. There are those times in our lives when God can appear to be insensitive. There are times in our lives when it can appear that God is actually not concerned about our plights, our problems, nor is he even concerned about, am I navigating this as well as I possibly could? If I'm being a little too transparent, I'm sorry, but this is the only way I know how to deal with this, because life, as Forrest Gump said, is not a box of chocolates. I'm getting ready to do something because my page is not operating properly. So y'all just give me a second. Be kind enough to give me a second, because I'm not seeing anybody, anything, doing anything. And I was having trouble with Boxcast. StreamYard is not a problem at all, but Boxcast seems to do some really weird things. And so I'm trying to get this going so that, Myrna, how are you? Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. And so okay, there we go. That's better. Robin, how are you? Stephanie, good to have you. Daryl, good evening to you. There we go. Sherry, thank you so much for being with us. Now my page is operating properly. Sylvia Harrison, Lady Harrison, good evening to you. And so in the midst of all of this, how do I deal with this? Because too many of us, while we are looking for a way out, God wants to comfort us through it. Christine, how you doing? Thank you so much for being with us on tonight. We need to learn, and I'm just going to take my time and I'm going to walk through this with you so that we can really unpack this clearly, so we can understand how God operates in the midst of what can appear to be madness and mayhem. We need to seek his comfort. I'll tell this story. When Maria passed, and I was on, I forget what I was on, and it was really, really, really troubling me. And the reason it troubled me the way it did was because she had only been in the hospital a few days, and the next thing you know, she's gone. And so I'm struggling with this. And hey, Jeanette, I'm struggling with this. And Larry Orr, out of nowhere, who normally does not do this, got on and was talking to me and all of that. And the next thing I know, what I was feeling left, because somebody showed up, did not even know the significance of their appearance. Okay, y'all really ain't ready. Y'all ain't ready for this one. Did not have a clue that this was probably one of the most difficult times in my life. And can I be really transparent about this? It was more than her passing. It was how she passed. It was what appeared to be certain things that bothered me, and it was troubling me, because as a pastor, I have dealt with a lot of death, and so I was going through it. I was feeling it. I was feeling horrible, and Larry shows up with a word of encouragement. And so what we have to see and what we have to understand, God has a way of increasing sensitivity to things. Hey, Carolyn Johnson, how are you? Okay. Listen to what I'm saying. If you grow insensitive, God has a way of bringing enough stuff in your life that all of that will change. I'm trying to paint the picture. That's what the preacher calls when he's leading into something. I'm trying to paint the picture so you can see it. Okay, and in the midst of this, God has a reason for affliction. God has a reason for hurt and pain. Robin, are you catching what I'm saying? Elder Treese, Daryl, are you? I need to make sure. Ida, Barbara Foots, and so in the midst of this, we're going to examine something because, and if you're not ready for this, get ready for it, Linda. Givers will heal faster than those who take. Woo-hoo, teach, Pastor. I'm working on it. I'm working on it the best that I know how. Listen to what I just said, Minister Sarah. Givers will heal faster than those who take. Okay? The reason we go through what we go through, the reason we hurt the way we hurt, the reason we experience things that we experience is to create within us a sensitivity to the plights of other people who are going through something. And then I'm going to deal with it just a little bit different, because too many times we think that we actually have to be on the other side of it in order for us to effectively minister. But what we fail to understand is that these things come, Ayana, how are you? These things come so that we or you can be more effective in ministry. Now, this lesson is a tough one to deal with. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to digest. It's hard because we don't want to do that. We want God to create a sensitivity to things using other mechanisms, other means, and other processes. But the truth of the matter is, in order for me to be able to effectively walk with you, I have to at one time been in, going through, or on the other side of the very thing that you are experiencing right now. We want God to provide an exit. But God says, I'm going to be in it while you go through it. Remember, I told you the story about the 3 Hebrew boys, and this is overwhelmingly important. He could have delivered them. He could have taken them out. But what happened was he permitted them to go into the furnace. He permitted them to be bound. He permitted them, because of their stance, to be destroyed. But what God did, rather than God pulling them out of, God went in with them. Oh, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? Because now I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it now. Can I ask a question? How many things have you experienced that God was already in it? How many things have you gone through? How many moments of depression? How many moments of sadness? How many moments of despair? How many moments of despondency have you gone through? And God did not remove it, but he was in the middle of it. He was in the midst of it. He was right there every step of the way to protect you, to encourage you, to guide you, to provide for you what you need so that what you were in did not overtake you, but you overtook it. Jesus, Lord have mercy. Help me to teach this. You gotta see this. Because there are so many things, there are so many moments and times when God could have pulled us out of something, but he chose to go through us in it. And when we go through that with him, it creates within us the ability, the proclivity to be sensitive to the plights of other people. Because you know what we can do. Now let's just go on and be real about this. You know what we can do when we get to a certain pinnacle of profundity in Christianity. We are desensitized to the issues and the plights of people who we consider to be lesser than us. We actually take on a Lucifer mentality, because now we look at other people as less than us. They don't have what we have. They're not where we are. And so we consider them to be just a lot lesser than we are. And in the midst of that, we forget. Oh, I'm trying not to preach. We forget that the same grace that rescued us is available to rescue them. But God is looking for some people who will walk with people as they walk through life's landmines. He does this. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 4 tells us that God comforts us that we will be able to comfort others. Okay? And the thing that I think many of us need to recognize and understand is you won't come out of this until you learn from it. I wish I had 3 people, okay? Are you catching this, Cora? This is overwhelmingly important for us to see, to understand, and to wrap our minds around so that we can see this. And here's what happens, sisters and brothers. Here's what happens. Here's what happens. Elder Mansell. Here's what happens. I didn't see Pastor Mansell. If he's on there, tell him we said hello. It changes not only. It changes not only how you walk with people, but it also changes how you deal with people. Dr. Robert Smith Jr. said, our perspective of life is predicated upon our perspective of God in our life. If we have a narrow perspective of God, our interactions with people will be narrow. If we have a limited perspective of God, our interactions with human beings will be limited. I'm gonna tell you what happened. It's an amazing thing, and I don't care where I go. I was pulling up. Oh, I remember. I was pulling up to Starbucks on Belmont Avenue because I wanted me a large iced coffee, and as I was coming around the corner, there were 2 people of Caucasian persuasion who were walking, and I slowed down because I wanted them to know, hey, I ain't trying to hit y'all. I'm trying to do this. And a conversation struck up between me and them while going around the corner. Now, listen. For many of us, this might not mean anything, but for me, it showed me that the impact, Pastor Mansell, the impact of my life is greater than my functionality in the church. Okay, y'all, because while they were in a serious conversation, just the fact that I said, Mayor, just the fact that oh God, Jesus, help me. The fact that I slowed down, rolled my window down, and a conversation went, because I said, I can't hit y'all. If I hit y'all, I ain't got that kind of money to be able to. And they said, guess what? We ain't got that kind of money. And another conversation started while I'm there in line in Starbucks. Y'all not care. And so it did more for me than it probably did for them, because my conversation with people should not be limited to my race, to my gender, and to my congregation. And so this is what you got to catch. This is what you got to see. And so in the midst of this, God permits us to go through hell. Let me get me a little water on that, so that we can show folk how to function before they get to heaven. So, what else? What else? The fastest path, Erica, good evening to you. The fastest path to healing when you are hurt is to help somebody while they are hurting. Oh, teach, Pastor, I'm doing the best I know how. You got to understand something. Am I doing okay? Because I'm really struggling with this, and I'm struggling with it because I really want you to catch what's in my heart as well as what's in the lesson. I really need you to get this. Because, Nicole, the struggles are real. The pain is real. The obstacles are real. Nicole, are you catching this? Anybody who goes through life as if life don't go through you is not alive. And so in the midst of this, here's what I have learned. And what I have learned is found, Walina, in Acts chapter 20, verse 35. Oh, this is going to get us in trouble right here. Acts chapter 20, verse 35. It says, it is more blessed to give than to receive. You need to understand that even before you are healed, you have been equipped to help. Woo, Linda, I need to. Even before you are healed, you are equipped to help. And the helping of other people is also bringing the process of healing. And so, what do we do normally when we're hurting? I'm glad that you asked me that question, because I need to answer that for you. What we normally do is we shrink back. We become reclusive. We move away from people. Jeanette Morris, how are you? We quit talking to people. We quit being around people. We isolate ourselves. We do all of the, okay, see, Nicole, you got to get this, because you will be liberated, Donald, if you get this. You'll be set free if you get this. The enemy wants you to miss out on the process of healing by engaging the hurting. The enemy wants you to miss out on the process of healing while you're going through the hurt, or while you are dealing with people who are hurting. Because when you give, and when I talk about giving, will you please get off money? Okay? It's not about giving people money. It's about giving people time. It's about recognizing the existence of them. Did you catch that, Kathy? Am I doing okay, Veronica? Because I'm, and the reason come on, okay, here we go. confession is good for the soul, but bad for the reputation. I'm gonna let y'all know where all of my struggles and stuff are coming from. It is coming from the fact that tomorrow I got to lay to rest a member that I believe still should have been here. She's not here, and I got to minister to a family that's going, why? And so I got that going through my mind. I got y'all going through my mind. I got other stuff going through my mind. I got all of this. And in the midst of this, I have to remain true to who I am and who God created me to be while I'm being yanked in all these other directions, because I believe that the God that have placed me in this also placed within me the ability to bring life out of a dead situation. So you got to catch that, Laverne. This is important. And so in the midst of this, it is better to give than to receive. That's Acts 20:35. If I give, Sherry, if I give and I keep giving because I don't want to, and I give because I understand that the healing of the situation I am in is in how I give to somebody else, and there are days when I don't feel like it. When I give and continue to give over and over and over and over and over my time, a word of encouragement. That's what many of us don't even recognize and understand clearly. That, and again, Pastor Good, how are you? Minister Faye, if we could just understand that giving is more than money, but time, talent, ability, to sit down with somebody and just have a plain old fashioned conversation with them. But see, when you're in pain, Cora, that's it. You get ready to make me shout. You got to trust the process. Here's the thing that you also have to do. You have to trust the person who's behind the process, because God wants to bring something out of you that you can't see or comprehend. But when he does, it establishes an even greater sense of ministry than what you have ever had before. We talk about, I want to be great for the Lord, but the problem is we want to be great on the stage instead of being great in the lives of maybe one person. We have equated greatness to numbers. And what we fail to understand, greatness, if you followed the life of Jesus Christ, his greatest accomplishments was not in the crowd. It was in the individual, one-on-one sense of caring and identifying them as human beings that made the difference in their lives. Thank you, Walina. I need all the prayer I can get because I'm struggling. Are y'all catching this? There, in the one book that I read, there's a pastor that was in there, and every time he met with the family to go through whatever they needed to go through concerning the funeral, the pastor would always tell the family, pray for me. And this pastor began to recognize and to understand that in order for there to be effective ministry to take place in the midst of their pain, they needed to pray for the pastor who had to walk them through it. The pastor has to walk them through that pain and show them that the pain is not permanent. Jesus, Lord, I'm about ready. I'm about Mayor. Mayor, I want you to catch that. The pain is not permanent, but the pain has a purpose. And this is something that you got to recognize. This is something you got to see. This is something you have to embrace. So what do? You got to get past turning in and start turning out, and start embracing people and talking to people and encouraging people. I was just in Sam's Club. I was in Sam's Club because I was picking up some stuff that we need for the picnic that's coming up on next Sunday. While I was there, I'm in line. Now, let me tell you how God works. I was looking for some charcoal. Now, see, many of y'all don't even pay any attention to little stuff like this, but sometimes God does stuff so you run into people when they need to be run into. Glory to God. And so I saw the charcoal. I said, oh, let me run over here and get the charcoal. And then I said to myself, see, fool, you should have saw the charcoal earlier and the lighter fluid earlier, so you could have did that, and somebody else going to get in line, and you're going to be further back than where you were, blah, 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 blah. All of this stuff is going through my mind, but I go on and do it anyway. Okay? I'm doing it anyway. And then, and then, and then, when I got what I needed, I got back in line and never lost my place. And then another gentleman popped up and begins to talk to me in the midst of this, carrying on a conversation with me, and all the rest. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I never mentioned to the person anything about anything about anything. All I did was carry on a conversation that made he and I feel better about being human beings. Now, listen to what I'm saying. That may not happen with every encounter because some people are just jerks and jacks. But what you have to recognize is if God has sent those people your way, he has done so with an explicit purpose of you ministering unto them. Give me a second, because it looks like, oh, I'm not frozen. I don't know what. I'm telling y'all, this is getting on my last nerve. And so, what are we doing? What are we looking at? What are we examining? This is important. Are y'all with me so far? So, we see clearly that according to Acts 20:35, that it's better to give than to receive. We see that. Am I correct? But now there's something else. Let me see how much time I got. There's something else that we need to look at. When you are hurting at your worst, God will send somebody right on time. Yeah, I hope y'all caught this. I hope y'all caught. I'm praying right now that you got this. There's an interesting situation that happens in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 5 through 7. It's a very fascinating situation that takes place, and in the midst of this, Paul is headed to Macedonia. And as he is headed to Macedonia, you'll see quite clearly, he says, I had no rest. They were afflicted on every side. Conflicts were everywhere. They were struggling with fear within themselves. But God, who comforts the depressed, comforted us by the coming of Titus. Here's the shout, y'all. Here's the shout. Here's the shout. Here's the shout. Here's the shout. When you are at your lowest ebb of pain, problems, and situations, God will always send somebody to encourage you, to strengthen you, to fortify you in your lowest time. But now, that needs to be reciprocated. What did I just say? What was that word, reciprocated? The same way that you have received, you should give. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 5 through 7, that when they got to Macedonia, trouble was waiting on them. When they got to Macedonia, issues were waiting on them. When they got to Macedonia, trauma was waiting to the point that they couldn't even sleep. They couldn't rest. They were depressed. They were going through all kinds of things. And the next thing you know, Titus shows up. And when Titus shows up, he brings something with him. Can I ask a question? Can you do something for me? Can you put in the chat, if you don't mind, what do you bring with you? Can I get you to put that in the chat for just a second? What do you bring with you? Now, why did I ask that question? I'm glad you asked me why I did that. I asked that question because what you bring with you may be a life preserver for someone who is drowning, or what you bring with you may be that which destroys them. Erica, what do you bring with you? Do you bring hope? Do you bring laughter? Do you bring joy? Or do you bring the very thing that they themselves are struggling with? Y'all didn't catch me. Did y'all put that in the chat yet? What do you bring with you? Daryl, there you go. I see y'all. I know there's a delay, but I just needed to know what do you bring with you? what do you, Barbara? What do you bring with you? Nancy, what do you bring with you? Carolyn, what do you bring with you? Pat, what do you bring with you? Gaither, what do you bring with you? Cecile, what do you bring with you? And I think this is a relevant question. Pastor Mansell, what do you bring with you? Robin, what do you bring with you? What do you bring with you? Okay. Ida, what do you bring with you? I see y'all. Okay. Kathy, what do you bring with you? Veronica, what do you bring with you? Minister Sarah, Sylvia Harrison, Don, Walina, what do you bring with you? When people see you coming, what do you bring with you? When people see you approaching, what do you bring with you? When all of these things are going on in their lives and they see you coming, what do you bring with you? If the joy of the Lord is your strength, why aren't you sharing it? If he's a present help, why aren't you sharing that? And so this is what we got to recognize and understand. Paul says, man, I'm going through it. I'm hurting. I'm depressed. And don't you dare think that you will not from time to time struggle with it. Okay, Mayor, here we go. Don't ever think. Okay. Personal testimony. Confession is good for the soul, but bad for the reputation. The weight of ministry, and I'm not talking about union. I'm talking about some other things that I had dealt with earlier in my ministry. The weight of ministry, the weight of being where God would have you to be, can be so much until you become so critical that God has to go to extremes to get your attention. Okay. And I'm going to tell you this story, and it's this is the honest to God truth. I had left Goodyear. I was in full-time ministry at the United Baptist Church, and I had a critical spirit toward my pastor. A critical spirit. And my critical spirit began to infect and affect my functionality in what I should be doing. And I was cutting grass and slipped. My foot went under a lawnmower and cut my foot. Now I'm gonna spell it out to you. Went to the hospital. They were talking about amputating 3 toes while I was sitting there on the gurney when they were getting ready to put the IV. And here's the amazing thing. Because I have small veins and they run, they couldn't get the veins, so they had to go get somebody else to try to start the IV. And I had a conversation with God. And in that conversation with God, I acknowledged my criticism. I acknowledged what I was doing wrong. I acknowledged my temperament. And I asked God to forgive me and give me another chance. They came back into the room. They came back into the room and told me, we're going to bandage up your foot and send you home. And God did the rest. But here's the key. Here's the key, Erica. Here's the key, Cecile. Carolyn and Carolyn, here's the key. That kind of liberation means nothing if it doesn't change your behavior. So what was the change? Serving in joy. Criticism over. Realizing that what I was doing was a privilege and not a drudgery. Back interacting with people like I should, doing the things I should do. Not withdrawing, but engaging. I know that right there. And I'm going to tell you why God went to that extreme with me. Is because, this is for my snapshot people, God starts at the end and works his way back. And God understood that I had to have that moment to bring me to this moment. Woo! Y'all can't see. You can't handle. See, there's a difference between a test and punishment. And whom he loves, he chastens. I'm going to see if y'all caught that. I'm going to just wait for a minute. I'm going to 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 wait for a minute because I need to make sure you understand that. Because God cannot heal you when you are critical against everything and everybody else. You have now been eclipsed from seeing the perpetuity as to why you were created, because you have allowed certain things to get in the way of your walk with God. And here's what you have to get used to. You have to get used to being hated. You got to get used to being misunderstood, misread, misrepresented. You have to get used to people's opinions. You have to get used to all of the things that come along with being human. And you've got to recognize, was that deep, Cecile? You've got to recognize that God sends people your way right when you need them. God sends people, and some of the people that will come your way, you may not want to hear what they have to say, but they are going to give you what you need. I pray that this helped you. I know this was not one of them rip-roaring, shouting, running, dancing kind of encounters that we had today. But I need you to understand. I need you to understand clearly that God has a fantastic purpose behind everything you experience. And when you are at your lowest ebb, your lowest moment, God sends reassurance. God sends comfort, consolation, and direction. Because he who has begun a good work in you shall perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. And whatever it is that you're doing, however it's doing, whenever it's doing, how difficult it may be, it is done so that you can learn to give back to other people in the midst of every horrible situation that comes in your life. And then what happens? is it teaches you how to walk with people and not walk on people. Woo, teach, Pastor. It teaches you how to walk with people and not walk on people. I'm going to say it one more time. It teaches you how to walk with people and not walk on people. And I think this is overwhelmingly important for us to recognize and to understand. And again, it is not my job to shout you every Wednesday. It is not my job to make you feel ecstatic every Wednesday. It's my job to provide truth, because only truth will make you free. And there just may be somebody, I'm going to put it up on the screen, who would like to give to support the work of ministry. I'm not going to keep it up there very long at all, because it's not about money, but it's about sowing. And if we've been a blessing, we want you to be a blessing. Paul says that if we can sow to you spiritual, you can give us some level of material things. And so I'm just saying what needs to be said. I'm just putting it out there the way it needs to be put out there so we can understand this. And this is so overwhelmingly important for us to see, to recognize, and to understand that God wants to do great things in your life. God wants to do fabulous things in your life. God wants to bring overwhelmingly strong ministry in your life. But it does not come without trauma. It does not come without trouble. It does not come without tribulation. In this world, you will have tribulation. But be of good cheer. You will overcome the world. And so I got to get you to see this. I got to get you to grasp this. I got to get you to understand this. I've got to get you to live it, because we have to be more than shouters. We have to be doers of the word, so the word can do in us what it is designed to do. I pray that I was a blessing to you tonight. I pray, excuse me, that you were blessed by what the Lord allowed me to do tonight. And I am grateful to God for each and every one of you who are here with us on tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you are on YouTube, or whether you are on the website, I want to thank you so much for giving us this time that we can be together. You have a blessed evening in the Lord, and I look forward to seeing you soon. May God bless you. May He keep you, is our prayer.